Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome. My name is Kate and I love all things makeup, beauty, skincare, and fun. Today we're going to be doing a full face of makeup that is only indie makeup, which means independently owned brands. If you're into this type of content, please go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. And without any further ado, let's go. Okay, so as I mentioned in the intro, today we are going to be doing a full face of independently owned makeup. So these are brands that do not have a parent company. They do not have typically like big conglomerates above them. And they also have like one or two people maybe that own them. So I personally love to support indie brands because it is a small mom and pop ordeal. Some of these brands that I'm going to talk about do not seem very mom and pop just because they're so widely known and loved, but that does not mean that they have like a giant conglomerate over them. So we're going to start off with our brows, and we're going to go in with this by the Lip Bar. They are an independently owned brand. I found this at Target, and this is their highbrow. So we're just going to do our brows real speedy. Okay, so now that we have a rough outline of the brows, we're going to just go in real quick with primer. We're going to use two today. The first one we're going to use is, both of these admittedly are just products I absolutely love. This one is by Glow Recipe. This is their Strawberry BHA Pore Smoothing Blur Drops. This one, I did not realize, admittedly, that Glow Recipe was on Shark Tank. So, but did you guys know that? I did not. It does look like the deal did not go through, though, for Shark Tank. I'll be honest, I didn't get all the deets on it, but I did see that it looks like that deal didn't go through. And it looks like it is owned by two women, which is absolutely fantastic. Glow Recipe is one of those brands that I am intrigued by. I have like a couple of their products and I really love them, but it's definitely a brand that I am interested in trying more from. Our second primer today we're going to use is this one by Milk Makeup. This is just a travel size version. This is their Pore Eclipse Mattifying Primer. Milk Makeup, admittedly, for me is like one of those brands that for a bit there, I didn't necessarily love them. But after trying especially these products, I have this mattifying primer, and I also have their mattifying setting spray. I feel like they are doing something. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like for a little bit there, they were kind of stagnant. I feel like they had a foundation years ago at this point that I enjoyed, but like it wasn't my favorite. And then they've come out with some like what appear to be innovative products, but products that I'm like, I don't know if that's for me. But with their recent launches, I have been jazzed. We're going to do our eyes before our base because we're using a really colorful eyeshadow. So I'm going to go ahead and lay down an eyeshadow primer. I'm going to use this one. This is by Glamlight. This is their icing eyeshadow base. I have the white shade. I figured that would give us the best chance of like canceling any discoloration on my eyes and allow for our bright shadows to really pop. Now that we have our white base all done, we're going to go in with this palette. This is by Nomad Cosmetics. This is there, and I'm so sorry, I am not going to pronounce this very well. Feel free to correct me in the comments. This is the Bosque Nuboso de Monteverde palette, and this is what it looks like on the inside. It's just like a super colorful, beautiful palette. It is perfect for summer. We're going to start with this really bright purple shade called Violet Subruing, and I am going to take my Sigma, which is also an independently owned brand. This is their E45, and I'm going to just plop that on the outer portion of our eye. I really enjoy, especially if I'm doing colorful looks, doing my eyes first because I find that it gives me the most room for error, and I find that I can just clean up what I've done so much easier if I'm doing especially colorful makeup. If I don't have to worry about messing up my base. Nomad, I look like a loon. It's just trust the process here. Nomad is one of those brands I find that is really consistent. I'll be honest, there have been a couple of palettes that they've released that I have heard were not the same consistency and quality, but that being said, I do not admittedly own those palettes. So I personally can't speak to that, but it's one of those brands that with their eyeshadow formula specifically, it's super pigmented, but also super blendable, which for me is key. Next, we're going to go into this teal shade here. We're going to lay that down right next to the purple. This one is called Resplendent Quetzal. I'm not sure if I said that correctly. Something tells me I didn't. For the inner portion of the eye, I want to go, I think, in with this shade right here. This is called Wildlife Wonderland. However, I think I'm going to put down my Glimmer Grasp. This is by Unearthly Cosmetics, and they are also independently owned. You don't have to certainly go in with a glitter grasp or like a glitter primer. Especially, I feel like Nomad does really nice shimmers. I just find personally that when I do use a glitter primer for my sparkly, shimmery, glittery shadows, that I get more intense payoff, which is 9 out of 10 times what I'm going for. So and then just gonna take a big fluffy brush and go along those matte edges specifically to make sure that they're less stark. All right, so I'm very happy with where our eyes are at. So we are going to go ahead and lay down our base. For concealer, we're going to go in with this one by Pat McGrath. This is, what is this called? Her Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Concealer. Can anything just be short and sweet? And admittedly, we're also going to go in with her foundation today as well. I'll be honest, there were certain categories in my collection where I struggled a bit more, and complexion was definitely one of them. The other thing worth noting is that this concealer is actually a little bit too dark for me. I need pretty desperately to get one that is lighter. I just have not done that yet because these are like $30 a bottle, and you can see how small the bottles are. I'm certainly not saying that they're not worth it. Pat McGrath is definitely a higher price point, and like teetering on that luxury line as far as price point goes. This is, I'm so sorry, I didn't even tell you, this is her Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Foundation. Again, could we have any any like short and sweet names? So she definitely has a higher price point, but I also do find that I enjoy working with almost, actually, I feel like every product I've worked with. Actually, there's an exception. There's one Pat McGrath palette I got many years ago at this point, and I did not love it at all. It was not for me. I just didn't think the formula performed quite well. It's just that palette is discontinued now, and I sold it to somebody, but online. But I just did not think that one palette was like up to snuff. But everything else from Pat McGrath Labs I've really honestly enjoyed, and which is, I feel, really impressive, because makeup, first of all, is like so personal to what we want and what we're looking for, but also to be able to do a really broad spectrum of products and have them all work really well, I feel like must be such a feat. So for me, that's very impressive. I will say that this foundation is one that gives more of a light to medium coverage, but I'm happy with how it's looking. For powder today, we're going to go in with this one by Huda Beauty. This is my favorite powder of all time. This brand is owned by Huda Kattan. She's from the Middle East, if I am not mistaken. And she is like such a miraculous success story in the way that like she hit the market at exactly the right time. She just did all the things that, like, at that time the Huda was on the rise, were exactly the right move. And beyond that, she really does make some super high quality makeup. I'll be honest, this powder is, in my humble opinion, the best thing that she's ever put out. If you have combination or oily skin, I think that you too would seriously enjoy this powder, because it does such a beautiful job of blurring the pores, softening our face, but also I find that it really does a lovely job mattifying and keeping oils and sweat and all of that much more at bay than so many other powders on the market. Okay, so now that we have our face powdered, we are going to go in with bronzer. For bronzer, we're going to go in with this one by Kosas. This is their, I can't tell if it's their beachy bronzer, or if it's the Sun Show bronzer. I think it's the Sun Show in the shade Beachy. And to apply that, we're going to go in with this brush by Lunar Beauty. This is the LBF 3. This one, I admittedly got, I think, a shade that work the best for me right now in the summer, which is fine right now. But in the winter months, I might need to get a lighter shade of this, just because it does pull a little bit red. But that being said, I do find that the formula is beautiful. It blends really nicely. I don't have any issues with it. I know when they first came out with this, people had significant issue with it. I'll be honest, I didn't purchase this first round. It came in like a mint green packaging, if I recall correctly. But I didn't buy that one. So I can only speak for this one. I have no issue with smell, no issue with it turning. It's good for 18 months. I'm loving it. For blush, we're going to use two different blushes today, both of which I feel like I've talked extensively about, but nonetheless, the first one we're going to go in with is by Melt. This is their cream blush light in the shade Golden Hour. These cream blush lights are the best, in my opinion, the best cream blushes on the market. They apply beautifully over foundation, on bare skin, over powder. For me, it's the over powder part that is like the most critically important, because I am somebody, especially in the summertime, who thinks or feels the best rather when I have my whole face powdered. So for me, this is just beautiful. For powder blush, we're going to go in with another one that I talk about, I feel, very regularly. This is by Odin's Eye. This is in the shade Sienna Luster. These are their Soulmane Sunlight Love blushers. This one is, I think, probably my personal favorite because it does have a little bit of shimmer in it. And I love layering it on this Melt blush light because not only does it super intensify it, but it really allows, in my opinion, that shimmer to shine, and it just looks so beautiful. I love it. We're going to just brighten up under the eyes a little bit because we're looking a little bit monochromatic, and part of that, of course, is the fact that the concealer is a little too dark for me, but we're going to do that using this one by Pat McGrath. This, of course, again, has like a 10-year-long name. Their Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Blurring Under Eye Powder. Gently sweep that under the eye. Try to lighten up a little bit under there. Maybe do a little on our chin. We're going to go ahead and set the face, and I mentioned earlier that we would be using this. This is by Milk Makeup, and this is their Pore Eclipse Matte Setting Spray. I love this setting spray. You do have to shake it really well to make sure that it applies correctly. That being said, the nozzle on this is not my favorite, which is the only, in my opinion, drawback. I find that mine kind of squirts a little aggressively. That being said, I've seen other people use this and theirs did not. So I'm not sure if I just got a dud or what the situation is. For highlighter today, we're going to use this highlight palette by Unearthly Cosmetics. This is their low light highlighting palette, and it has just a really beautiful array of different highlighters that we can use. To apply, we're going to use this brush by Lunar Beauty. It's the LBF6, and I think we'll go in with this one down here called Synthwave today, and just kind of see. Yeah, beautiful. These, I'll say, the way that they're pressed, they're a little bit firmer, so you're not going to get out of this world blinding highlight, but you are going to get a really beautiful shimmer. So if you're looking for something that's gonna like knock your socks off, I don't think this is the formula for you. I would probably go with one by Glamlite. They do absolutely obnoxious, borderline obnoxious highlighters. Unearthly does not. I just think it's beautiful though. Like, very soft, very shifty. Again, if you don't like shifty duochrome highlighters, you might not like this palette either. Although this one I feel like pulls a little pinky, but it's pretty natural. It's not like I have a giant like green stripe on my face, but I could want to. Okay, so to finish up the eyes, I went in with this little loose shadow, I guess, loose multi-chrome from Unearthly Cosmetics. This is in the shade Phantom, and I just put that on our inner corner. And then for mascara today, we went in with this one by Pat McGrath Labs. This is her Dark Star mascara. I really enjoy this. I like that it's not a super wet formula, and it does give my lashes a bit of volume. And then we finished it off with lips. To do that, I went in with my Natasha Denona I Need a Nude lip crayon. This is from her My Favorite collection. This formula is just so easy to work with, and I find that it applies really easily, but it also stays in place and keeps my lipstick in place. And for lipstick, I went in with this one. This is by Glamlite Cosmetics. This was from their latest Scooby-Doo collab. I am not sure, admittedly, if this is available anymore. I know that it was a limited edition thing, and it was like super limited in the way that they like couldn't sell it for very long. Very confusing, but at any rate, Glamlite does have a really nice, in my opinion, lipstick formula that is very cost effective. So we love that. But that is the finished makeup look. I'm really happy with how my makeup turned out. As always and as usual, I love indie makeup. I am so happy to support small brands, creators, but also I am happy to find products that, in my opinion, outshine a lot of our mainstream beauty brands. So thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I would love it so much if you would subscribe to my channel down below. As always, please stay happy, stay healthy, and stay blessed. And I will see you on the next video. Bye.